All right, here we go.
Everybody in this world is a bunch of communists and homosexuals.
Good night.
Snowflake, pansy, panty
Panty waist.
Well,
oh, good, crunchy.
That should get us about 100. That should get us about 100 likes and 6 downvotes. Okay,
well, ministry sucks.
If you post it on yours, it will be nominated for Podcast of the Year and have 100 upvotes. If you post it on mine, the FBI will come and drag me out of the house in front of my children.
Freaker. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a weird week. I'll tell you that right now.
And it's only Monday.
Things have been strange. We've been, we right here on the Rattleitch Broadcasting Network. Just to let everybody know, go check out some of the other great podcasts that are on here. I know we'll do plugs here later, but apparently our Metal Hammer of Doom episodes are they're pretty popular, and some of it, and not the greatest way, and some of it is popular. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you'd call it that or not, but either way, right here on the Source Material YouTube channel, you should be able to find something that we've talked about here recently that might
tickle your bag.
It might tickle your bag. It might stir some emotions. I don't know. It might get you upset.
He said it, and I was like, "Oh, that's gross." And then you said it, and I threw up a little in my mouth.
But this evening,
my job here is done.
Yes, you've won. This evening, we are coming together here on the Source Material Podcast. Ronnie Adams, how are you doing this evening?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing all right. Mark Rattleitch, are you ready to discuss some comic books?
Sure.
Okay, that's a good answer.
Why not?
It's a good answer. Well,
we're here.
So tonight we have a couple books that we're going to be discussing, and it all came out in a trade called The Worlds of Krypton. And this, I think, might be potentially a first here on the program, where me and Ronnie were not able to find half of this book digitally, and our good buddy Mark Rattleitch coming through with the physical media, doing his due diligence and being a good boy and paying for his stuff up front. He has got the first book, while I have access to the second one. Now, what book is that?
All right. So March 6th, they did a reprint and a combined combination that was entitled Superman, The Many Worlds, plural, of Krypton. And it's split into 3 sections. The first section is a compilation of various Superman comics, and I'm going to read through these really quick. There's also an introduction by Paul Kupperberg. So chapter 1 is The Fabulous World of Krypton, and you've got Superman number 233 rather, from 1971. The Doomsayer, Superman 236 from 1971. A Name is Born, Superman 238, 1971. The Man Who Cheated Time, to Superman 240, 1970. These are all 1971. All in the Mind, 248, 1972. The Greatest Lantern of All, 257. The Face on the Falling Star, 266, which is 1973. And finally, The Stranger, Superman Family, number 182, 1977. Chapter 2 is a limited series split into 3 parts called the World, just there's no the World of Krypton, and this is by writer Paul Kupperberg and penciler Howard Chaykin, and it's entitled in the book The Life of Jor-El. There's the Jor-El story, This Planet is Doomed, and The Last Days of Krypton.
Does it have a year there?
Yeah, 1979.
Okay.
And then chapter 3 is The World of Krypton, which is the one you guys were able to find, which also was printed as a trade. And it's got the sky blue cover and the people driving the little Flash Gordon ships. That's a 4-part series, and that's from 1987-88. And that's pieces, The World of Krypton, After the Fall, History Lesson, and Family History. What these are, and we're only going to focus on chapter 2 and 3 here, which is, again, World of Krypton and The World of Krypton. What these are 2 distinct interpretations of the rise and fall of Krypton, focusing on the L family. The first part is specifically about Jor-El. The second part deals with the Great Clone War, or the war, rather, the war for clone rights that led to the end of Krypton. What is the giggling about?
Clone War. I feel a very Star Wars.
Jor-El did punch his wife in the face before they got married.
No, he loved Lara. That's one thing that comes out very clearly in the book. But sorry, the war for clone rights, which definitely has some allusions to the idea of a civil war erupting in this country over abortion rights or gay rights, but I digress. There's definitely some political undertones here, whether they meant it or not. Again, this being 1987, but we'll get into that when we get there. But yeah, essentially that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, and we're doing that, Jesse, because this Wednesday on the Sci-Fi Network begins the 10-episode brand new series Krypton, which deals with Superman's grandfather, as I recall.
I want to ask real quick before we get into this. We'll start with you, Mark. Are you excited about this new series? Is this something you're definitely going to watch? Is there something that you've seen in the previews or whatnot going, oh man, I've got to watch this all the way through? Or are you just kind of going into it with, I'll check out the first 1 or 2 episodes, and if it's Gotham, I'm leaving?
No, I absolutely am excited about it. I'm definitely going to watch. I wish it would go directly to Hulu, but this is much like Unsolved: The Murders of Tupac and the Notorious B.I.G. I may actually have to DVR it because I don't watch anything live. I'm too busy podcasting. But I may have to sit down and set up the DVR to God, I'm showing my age, to tape Krypton and watch it later. But yeah, I'm excited for it. You know, I've seen some stills. I've seen a little bit of the commercials here or there, but I haven't really deep dived into the promotional material because I'm going to watch it no matter what. You know, I watch all the comic book shows pretty much. So I'd rather just kind of sit and enjoy it as I'm watching it rather than do what I do with some of the movies, which, you know, sometimes I overeducate myself and ruin the experience.
Yeah, it's easy to do with all the access that we have to just about everything to get prepared for something, and all the trailers, all the articles, all that junk. Ronnie, how about you, man? You want to check it out?
Yeah, as much as I can. Absolutely. I'm a little wary because one, it's not a CW show.
Yeah.
And two, Gotham. Well
said.
Thank you. I took up for Gotham as much as I could. I want everybody to know that. And then after a while, I was like, yeah, I'm done. But I'm excited about it. I'm ready to. I'm ready for something a little different.
I think what kind of scares me is the fact that, you know, we've had Smallville, and that was a focus on Superman at a young age, and that went for quite a while. I think it went 10 seasons. I want to say it went 10 seasons. I could be wrong.
10.
Was it 10? And that was a good show. It's a tough sell for you to go, hey guys, we're going to tell you a story about Superman's planet. And, you know, it's on Sci-Fi, right? You said?
Yep.
So what's come out of Sci-Fi that's notable here lately? Well,
not much.
You can say Sharknado. And now, granted, this is we're talking a series versus a movie here. Sharknado is kind of known for its schlock and B-movie status and its cult status because that's just what it's supposed to be. But I don't know if I've seen anything. There's a couple shows that come to mind off the top of my head from Sci-Fi that I really liked. Eureka was one of them, which I believe that was a Sci-Fi show. Eureka was one of them, and
I loved Eureka.
Yeah, Eureka was great. Warehouse 13, I think, was a spinoff of that, maybe, or that was somehow connected because I know they did a crossover. Winona Earp, which is not a show that I've had the chance to watch yet.
I forgot about Winona Earp. I actually really enjoyed that.
Pretty certain that's a Sci-Fi show as well. what's the name? Z Nation. Me and the wife watched a lot of Z Nation.
Yeah, man,
DJ Qualls. DJ Qualls. Is that his name?
Listen, yeah, he was about the only thing that I really enjoyed about the first few episodes.
Yeah,
that kept me going, because otherwise it would have just been another zombie show.
Yep.
I love anything with zombies, just about anything with zombies. But after a while you just get to like, okay, this is just a really bad Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And but I love DJ Qualls, and I don't know why.
Well, there's sci-fi shows that I think of off the top of my head. So seeing Krypton go to sci-fi, they could handle it well, or sci-fi, or whatever it's called now, SYFY.
It's sci-fi.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
Grumble. So
how's that go again?
Grumble.
I'm not the one who did it this time.
Okay. So Mark, you have the distinction here of bringing us the summarization of this the world, or this is World of Krypton we're talking here. So what happens in this book? This is late 70s. I don't recognize the author's name, by the way, but I do recognize the artist's name, Howard Chaykin. But as for the writer, that is Paul Kupperberg. I mean, you sent me a link for the picture of the book itself, and I just clicked on his name, and there's nothing there. So I don't know if this guy has not had a very notable. Well, I mean, he's got a work. Let's take a look here. Work history, just real quick, Mark. Then we'll turn you loose. A lot of what looks to be like late 70s Batman, Superman. He's got about 29 pages. So I say I don't recognize his name. He's probably wrote quite a bit. Doom Patrol, Who's Who in the DC Universe, House of Mystery. So maybe he is an accomplished writer. I just may not know my DC as well as I should. But anyway, Paul Kupperberg brings us this tale, penciled by Howard Chaykin, which is very prominent DC artist. I'm going to turn you loose, Mark. Let us know what happens in this book, and then I'm sure I'm going to have a couple questions possibly.
Okay, so this is a three-part story, and it's about the life and times of Jor-El. It starts with him as a kid, and it follows him into school, and then when he gets out of school, he becomes a researcher and scientist in rocketry. He believes in
he becomes a rocket scientist.
he literally does become a rocket scientist.
Rocketry.
He invents like an anti-gravity rocket that's made of gold, because gold is basically like wood here on Earth. It's a plentiful metal.
Okay,
it's not valuable.
Plentiful.
I'm
sorry.
It doesn't matter how heavy it is, because there's no propulsion. They're using anti-gravity. So he creates an anti-gravity device. It's in the rocketry program where he meets pilot Lara, whatever the hell her last name is, and they get together, and there's a whole like subplot having to deal with how their marriage was almost derailed.
By what?
Okay, so in Krypton, they developed there was a high rate of divorce. This is a highly advanced, very science-driven society. And I guess in doing that, they created a lot of problems with relationships among people. There was a high level of divorce, and they said, okay, well, we can solve this with computers. And so they created Matricorp, which is a place where you go to where, using algorithms and such, they determine whether or not you are made for each other. And by law, it is only Matricorp that can allow you to be married. So
that sounds very Black Mirror-ish.
Yeah, it really does. So if Matricorp says, you're a match, you can get married. If not, then you're shit out of luck. Well, Matricorp became self-aware and created
We'll become self-aware.
Is this what I do to you guys? Because I feel like a dick now.
You didn't hear me say, go ahead and start the story and while we make fun of you. No, you didn't hear that part? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, it's Jesse's revenge. Okay. I got to go, guys.
No.
You got, yeah. Go. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So, the Matricorp builds an android for itself that, unbeknownst to Lara, who delivers the message that they're not compatible and they can't get married. And she's like, "You're full of shit." And she goes to Matricorp.
I don't think that was quite what she said.
No, she said, "Fuck you," and the horse you rode in on. It's right there in the.
We know.
No comics
how
up there in the corner, Ronnie Adams. No
we
comics.
know how the '70s comics were with their language.
Yeah, she said, "Lick my twat, asshole computer."
Oh, jeez, Mark, what the?
You push me in a corner, will you? I come out swinging.
You're not kidding.
I need to talk to this Paul real quick. This Paul Kepperberg. He's writing some crazy stuff. All right, go ahead.
Anyway, so she goes and she protests, and they find out that that Matricorp built this android that tried to convince her that they were actually a match because Matricorp fell in love with Lara, who, as I said before, is a pilot on
like you do.
So the robot
Krypton.
fell in love with Lara.
Lara, yes.
Okay.
Anyway, the Matricorp is defeated, and they end up getting married, and of course they have Kal-El. So a lot of the book, other than that side plot, a lot of the book deals with Jor-El and the Science Council. First he's trying to convince them of the virtue of space travel, which the Science Council doesn't see a whole lot of stock in and doesn't see the value in it. So they're fighting him on that. A lot of people laughed and made fun of him for the gold ship. They called it, Jor-El's Golden Folly, because they don't think it's going to fly, which it ends up doing. Not successfully, but it does, in fact, get off the ground. And then, as the years go on, Jor-El makes the discovery that the core is unstable and that the planet's probably going to explode and that they should build these giant arcs and get everybody off Krypton. And of course, the Council of Elders is like, Jor-El's a crazy person. And the one arc that they had built ends up like exploding or whatever. There's all kinds of stuff that happens. Some of it makes Jor-El look really, really not. Some of it makes Jor-El look bad within the story in the eyes of the Science Council. And he's just sort of by the last days of Krypton, he's just at his wit's end, and he doesn't have. It answers the question: why didn't Jor-El and Lara just leave with Kal-El when they had the chance? And they tried. Jor-El did everything he could to save the planet, save his people, and when he ran out of time and material and opportunity, all that was left was the one ship that get Kal-El out of Krypton.
Okay.
And then Krypton explodes. It's a great story. I don't think I can do it justice just sort of telling you about it. It's one that if you can find the trade, this is, like I said, this just came out March 6th, and I picked it up on Amazon.com. But if you go to your local bookstore or whatever, and you can find the Many Worlds of Krypton, that it has the story in it, it's definitely worth a read. It's better than Volume 2. It's a lot better than Volume 2.
I was at North Carolina Comic-Con, Oak City, which is in Raleigh, North Carolina, or the Oak City Comic-Con as they call it. And I went to multiple dealers to find this, so I could have the paper copy, the physical copy of it. No one had it.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it was crazy. I didn't realize it was written as early as it was, so there were some guys selling some older books, but you see the guys who sell mostly older books, 60s, 70s, 80s, they charge a little more because they have some, they have some age on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't find it anywhere. So thankfully I had a digital copy of it. And while we only had
that the world of Krypton, the
I had
1987.
Half of it and got through a quarter of it before falling asleep. But
John Byrne.
It's a little wordy.
Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a few.
I was like, why am I reading War and Peace right now?
Well, to put this in the mindset of people, Mark, you said this came out in 1979. The Superman movie came out in 1978. So that story came out 1 year after what a lot of people saw on the big screen. And it could very well be said that Superman the movie was probably the comic book movie for quite some time. I mean, when you you might be able to say some recent movies, because we're in a period of time, 2018, where there are cinematic universes for each of the big two. We got a DC cinematic universe and we have a Marvel cinematic universe. So
Do we have a DC cinematic?
They're trying their best.
That's a little better.
But you got to think, Superman come on the scene back in 1978. And I mean, there are people to this day who absolutely love that film.
Oh, I do.
And it's got staying power. It's a great movie. So it hits the scene, and then I'm sure that Superman fever probably caught. This is a big theatrical release. It's very popular. It's comic books come to life on the big screen. So we got to throw anything and everything out there to kind of throw some history at what happened on Krypton. In the movie we get our short. I don't know if it is short because it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but we see Jor-El, who was he portrayed by? It was Marlon Brando, right?
Marlon Brando was Jor-El.
Jor-El, and then so we kind of see that destruction of Krypton. But this sounds like this story right here gives us a good history of what occurred back, and led to the planet exploding. So, yeah, I mean.
How do we go from Marlon Brando to Russell Crowe?
Russell Crowe.
Jor-El. In Man of Steel.
Oh, you're talking about the Man of Steel. Yeah.
Hey, one sec. So schedule change. We're gonna do the.
Imagine that.
We're gonna do the TV party tonight for Krypton in August. Just thought I'd tell you.
All right. I'll have to look forward to that. I'll have to make sure I have a way of trying to watch it. I don't have cable, by the way, but I do have the internet, sir.
I was gonna say you should be able to watch that on.
Talk to me offline, sir.
Yeah.
On sci-fi.com. But yeah, we don't need to discuss it now. Just thought I'd tell you because I meant to say it before, and then I'm like, oh, I never actually scheduled this, and then I tried, and then I just sort of juggled around some dates. So we'll do Kingdom Come and Krypton in August.
All right, so in about 5 months, ladies and gentlemen, you can hear us talk about the series.
And everybody in the audience is going, why is he scheduling things 5 months out?
It's tough for him to do, considering he's got the whole year or two done. So
yeah.
Okay, so
I'm learning to not overstuff the calendar for stuff just because of stuff like this.
What did the book itself? I mean, Mark, you said it was a great story. Was there anything that's kind of stood out to you, like good or bad? What did you like? I guess. What did you like? What did you dislike?
I liked a lot of it. I liked Jor-El's story. I liked you can definitely tell there was an agenda with this. There was definitely in the back of the writer's mind, there was this idea of how of politics versus science. I don't want to get into a political debate or really a discussion about it, but I need to kind of bring up something that equates to what I think this book was getting at in terms of what's the message behind the page. And they take climate change. Okay.
Oh, really?
So climate change, as we understand it, is whether a combination of man-made and just the natural changes in atmosphere and such. We have a situation where sea levels are rising, coastal cities are going to turn into Atlantis. Okay, species are going to get wiped out, etc. As the planet, and as the planet gets warmer, you have glaciers that are melting, and that's again what's part of what's causing the sea levels to rise. The other thing that happens is with the change in atmosphere and temperature, you have currents changing, stronger hurricanes happening more often, and other weather events that cause wide destruction.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that are proven by science, at least as we know it today.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have two sides of that debate. We'll call it the Rush Limbaugh side and the science side. Okay, so the Rush Limbaugh side said,
"Really,
dude, I'm saying it's the Rush Limbaugh side because this is what the man himself has said." Okay,
all right,
that there's no such thing as man-made climate change. That it's all just the natural course of planetary change, and there's really nothing we can do about it. It's out of our hands. And the underlying theory behind that being, we don't want to make laws that limit business, because the businesses are responsible for creating a lot of the climate change. At least that's the theory.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the science side that says we're not really interested in that so much, though there does have to be some changes, creating all of the carbon dioxide and whatnot that we do. So, some changes are going to have to be made to save this planet, but we're not necessarily interested in putting businesses out of business. But we do have to make changes in order to stop our current march towards death, which is where we're going. I'm not saying one should believe or disbelieve in any of what I just said. I'm saying that's the debate. And it's mirrored in World of Krypton. So you have politicians who either are short-sighted or don't see the value in the science and say, "You're crazy, Jor-El. You're crazy, and you're putting a lot of fear out there." Again, this actually happens in real life. You're putting a lot of fear out there unnecessarily. This is bad science. And then you have Jor-El going, "But I've got charts and data, and I can prove what I just said." And they're going, "Nah, it's mad science." And then the world blew up.
Start building your golden arcs now.
Probably shouldn't build stuff out of precious metals. I'm just, wasn't.
It'll all be worthless when the world blows up.
Again, I don't want to have the debate over over climate change, but do you see what I'm saying, Jesse? Do you see what I'm saying about what happened with Jor-El and him realizing that the planet was unstable and was going to blow, and no one was willing to listen to him? How that mirrors sort of contemporary environmental debate.
I see where you're coming from there. It always seems like the core story of Krypton and Jor-El is always about how he knew the calamity was going to happen, and he tried to, or at least what I've been exposed to, he tried to warn everybody. "Oh my goodness, be ready, be aware. Stop what you're doing. You're killing the world." And then, of course, oh, look out, the world explodes. I don't think we're going to be exploding the world anytime soon. But that's
world explode.
That's quite an extreme. That's quite an extreme result.
No, we're gonna drown, us and the polar bears.
We're slowly. I do believe that there's possibility that we're slowly killing ourselves.
This
because of math.
Before in history, nobody listened to him either.
And I missed the big. Oh, Noah.
Yeah.
Noah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why should things be different?
I can't disagree.
But that's what I liked about this, though. I know I like that it's kind of a modern parable about
Noah,
of not only Noah but just what was going on, what's been going on for decades now. I mean, this argument over what it used to be global cooling, then it was global warming, and now they just say it's climate change because they can't figure out which one it is.
No.
But
eggs are good for you. Eggs are bad for you. Eggs are good for you again.
Bacon gives you cancer. No, it doesn't. But
science.
So there is something to be said, but I enjoyed the fact that it really takes a look at the argument between politics and science, and how these are two factions that are constantly going head to head. And and the Jor-El character is sort of the symbol of science.
Yeah.
I also like how it was handled. There's things I like about Man of Steel, but one of the things I always thought was stupid was, and to a degree, the 70s Superman movie did it the same way. Jor-El standing up before the Science Council. The core is unstable. We're going to blow. Jor-El, you're crazy. 5 minutes later, the planet blew up.
Right. Yeah. So
well,
that escalated.
I'm just saying, Jor-El, a little warning would have been nice. It was like he's just sitting there, like watching half asleep while the monitor's blinking red, and he just wakes up and holy shit!
He's the Homer Simpson of Krypton.
The planet's going. Maybe that's why they didn't believe you. A little warning would have been nice.
Yeah. It's like one of the Science Council went, "Hey, Jim, he was right. Shut up, Stan. I don't care."
So
look at that. The world's gonna blow up.
I think it's also hard to I think even in this conversation, I mean, three guys that aren't too far from from each other in terms of philosophy and values. Some differences here or there, but I would think for the most part we're all pretty close. But I think even among us, the idea of the assertion that the polar ice caps are going to melt, things are going to flood, and the world's going to look differently. Essentially, that's a cataclysm. And can you wrap your head around it? Because I have some difficulty with that, of believing that could possibly be true. That smart people that we vote into office and some not so smart ones, have access to information that we'll never have access to, and are blindly just looking away or ignoring it and allowing this to happen.
Well, and the thing is that we elect politicians to office. We don't elect scientists. That's the problem.
Right.
I mean, if we elected scientists to position, then things would definitely change.
Well, that's interesting, because in the world of Krypton, the scientists are the politicians.
Good point.
Yeah, but they become politicians.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you've got it's just like any other big budget blockbuster disaster flick. Somebody, I remember, what is it, The Day After Tomorrow, where the guy has all the data. Was it Jeff? I can't even remember his name now. No, Randy Quaid. Not Randy. Was it Randy? Anyway, one of the Quaid.
It was Quaid,
Dennis,
but it wasn't Randy.
It's Dennis Quaid. Anyway, Dennis Quaid has all the data, and he's going up trying to tell the president, and the president's got to worry about everybody else and how the reaction's going to be. The problem is that in The Day After Tomorrow, the world's not going to explode. That's going to cause some action. I would think that if the world is going to explode, one of two things is going to cross my mind. Well, there is no hope, because where we're at scientifically, we're not going to escape that cataclysm. And it seems like the people of Krypton had that opportunity, though. They could have left. They could have gotten their ship and gone away, I would assume.
I don't know about you guys, but it's something, I'm making good friends with Elon Musk.
There you go. Yeah, do your best.
He's got a rocket ship ready to go.
Oh yeah,
made of gold.
Yeah. His is made of gold.
So you asked me what didn't I like. A big part of Krypton's mythology is Zod's rebellion.
Yep.
Which is somewhat discussed in Man of Steel, but not discussed at all in World of Krypton. He's in the book.
I was going to ask if he was actually there.
Yeah, when Jor-El works in the rocketry program, one of his bosses is General Zod.
Just while you're talking there, I'm going to look up and see when the first appearances of Zod was, because I don't know if he was something, because we don't see him until Superman 2 in the movies. So I'm curious as to what his comic book background is, but go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, apparently, and the book deals with this to some degree, they did a couple of test launches, which is how Superman's dog ended up on Earth eventually. Was they actually launched Superman's dog into space to test the ship, and the dog got lost in space. This happens a lot. They're sending all kinds of shit up on Krypton, and they're the only things that ever made it because they weren't there when the world exploded.
There is a Superman powered monkey out there.
Yep, that gets addressed. There's a dog. Of course, we know Supergirl gets lost in space for a while.
What they do? Run out of animals? Is that launch that kid?
Well, like I said, in this iteration of the last days of Krypton, Jor-El tried. Jor-El had an arc, and I forget what happens to it. One of the other scientists does something he wasn't supposed to, and ends up blowing the arc up accidentally, as I recall. And like you do. So that left like one man ship left, and he was like, "Well, we got to save Kal-El." So up Kal-El went right before the place went up in flames. It isn't like Man of Steel where where we deserve to die with the planet. Okay, if you insist. Dumbest thing I've ever heard.
As Superman's mother's measuring the ship to make sure she can't get into it with him.
Like, move over, Kal-El. Snuggle.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Jor-El.
I did misspeak. Surprise, surprise. Apparently, Terrence Stamp was Zod in the 1978 Superman film as well. So that's how long it's been since I've seen it. I clearly remember. I mean, he's obviously a fixture in Superman 2. But
I couldn't remember his name.
Terrence Stamp.
Yeah. He made
Why
a brief
would you
appearance
say
in
such
one.
thing when you know I will kill you for it? Kill me, Lex Luthor, the greatest mind of all time. Kill him.
Now, here's a quick paragraph because really there is on the Zod Wikipedia Wikipedia page, they have Silver Age, which is a paragraph, and then Modern Age, which is 1985-2005. So I don't know if there's a whole lot of stories that had Zod as a centerpiece. But here we go. Drew Zod is a megalomaniacal Kryptonian in charge of the military. Thank you. Maniacal.
I was sitting there thinking, what God's name is he trying to say?
Second time on this podcast that I have pronounced it like that.
I would make fun of you for mispronouncing maniacal, but I don't want to be called a racist.
Megalo. How dare you besmirch? and
good name of Jesse Starcher.
Yeah.
He's from Ohio.
Listen to how he pronounces maniacal. All right.
Even the guys on the Metal Hammer Doom that commented on that would be like, we got nothing for you, man. We tried to take up for you, but we just couldn't make it work.
He's in charge of the military forces of Krypton. He knew Jor-El, Superman's father, when Jor-El was an aspiring scientist. When the space program was abolished after the destruction of the inhabited moon, Wegthor, he attempted to take over Krypton. Zod created an army of robotic duplicates of himself, all bearing a resemblance to Bizarro. He was sentenced to exile in the Phantom Zone for 40 years for his crimes. Zod was eventually released by Superman when his term of imprisonment was up. However, he attempted to conquer Earth with the superpowers his Kryptonian body acquired under the Yellow Sun, the source of Superman's own superpowers. With Zod's threat now obvious, Superman was forced to oppose him and ultimately returned him to the Zone. Well, that was untimely. He beat Zod. Purpose of me reading that was I was just trying to find out. That's Silver Age paragraph for Zod. I didn't know if maybe just perhaps he wasn't used in that capacity as being the prominent guy who well, you said he was a rebellious, the rebellion army or whatever it was, but and that didn't seem to be touched on at all. So maybe I don't know. Don't really have much of an answer as to why he didn't show up much in that book. But all right. So anything else there, Mark?
No, like I said, they don't deal with Zod's rebellion at all. Yeah. He shows up here and there throughout the book. There's other scientists that are like competitive with Jor-El, that are more of, like, if you're looking for the prototypical bad guy in this story, there were other scientists who fit that bill. Zod's not one of them.
Okay. Couldn't they just drawn it in the background of like Jor-El talking to his arch nemesis scientist, like, hey, what's going on back there? The Zod's going off again. Don't worry. Be like, oh, it's a rebellion. No, it's not. To the negative zone.
Yeah, I did want to add that Jor-El gets credit for creating the Phantom Zone projector.
Phantom Zone. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Negative zone is where
that's Annihilus. Went. Yeah, that's Annihilus and Rick Jones and Fantastic Four stuff. Okay. Well, then let's go ahead. We'll hop into my section here, which is, let me go ahead and change the picture here real quick. Just bear with me. Gotta get out of here. Go over here. And so this is 1987, 1988, The World of Krypton, written by one John Byrne, who I think most famously the guy has his writing all over Fantastic Four. Fairly certain he's got his name on the X-Men as well. I don't know how much, and we may have even covered something that he did on the podcast at one time in the past. But yeah, John Byrne wrote this tale, late 80s Superman tale called The World of Krypton. The artist, an artist that a lot of people may have heard of, and that's Mike Mignola. So yeah, Ronnie Adams, you know Mike Mignola you ever heard of his name?
I've heard his name.
You've heard his name. He's done Hellboy. He's a co-creator or creator of. I think he's a creator of Hellboy. So yeah, this is some DC work by this guy. Which, by the way, I did not. Mike Mignola's got a interesting art style, at least what I've seen on Hellboy. This. I don't know if this looks like it or not. I can't say I've read too much Hellboy. I can tell you I've seen covers of Hellboy and drawings by Mike Mignola. And Superman and Hellboy are two totally different beings. That's for sure. But the art style just looks a little bit, I want to say, cleaner. But let me share the picture here at some point. Let me pull it up. And there we go. Okay, so, all right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to summarize the first two issues as quick as I can. You guys can hop in with any talking points you want to between issues 1 and 2, and then I'll do 3 and 4, same thing, and then we're out of here. All right, so issue 1, Krypton. Thousands of years before its destruction, we are shown a young man by the name of Van L, who is, now that's L, just letter L, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Van L, who is on his final day prior to completing his rite of passage to become a man. During a fun air vehicle chase, fun, I guess we'll call it, a fun air vehicle chase, a horrific accident almost kills his love interest, a girl by the name of Vara. Vara. Luckily, he is able to get her to the local doctor in time for them to perform extensive surgery and organ replacement in order to save her life. However, she has recovered enough to attend Van L's celebration that evening. Unfortunately, the day is marred by a couple other tragedies. The city of Kandor is besieged in battle between two camps of Kryptonians, those that believe the use of mindless clones used for prolonging life are necessary, and those that believe the practice to be immoral. For every Kryptonian, there's 3 clones kept in stasis for use in keeping the actual people alive and well past their prime. It is a debate that has gained more and more prominence as days go on. Also, the night of his rite of passage, during Van L's celebration, it's ruined when a family friend is murdered by her own son in a fit of rage and is stopped right there in front of everybody.
Who hasn't had that in their family?
Dude, I mean, he has this gun. He has the gun, and he's got his mom by her shirt, and I'm like, oh, somebody's going to stop him. No, he pulls the trigger and blows her head off. Obviously off panel. This is late 80s. You're not going to see it, but it happens. He kills her. And he stopped from taking his own
dead.
life. Well, kills are dead. That's right. He stopped from taking his own life in front of all the attendants there at the party. It is soon after that Van El and his father find out the truth. Kanzi, which was the guy's name, Kanzi was set to be married, and his mother Naira had orchestrated it years ago so that he would marry her own clone by giving her a mind and a personality. Now this is twisted shit. Okay.
So, hang on, let me just help you clear this up. So they have essentially a garden of clone people. For every one person, they have 3 duplicates, and this is strictly for mining body parts and extending the life of the one person. And the debate, and so it's again, this is kind of like the abortion debate, or the death penalty debate, which is, do these clones have rights?
I would say it's also like the clone debate. I mean, granted, we haven't cloned any person on this planet.
I was gonna say there's really no debate. It's illegal.
Well, right now it is for people.
Yes.
But I could see it, dude. They're cloning animals.
Well, animals have no soul.
Okay. I just heard that Meryl Streep.
My dog grumbled as soon as you said that.
I had just recently heard that Meryl Streep cloned her own dogs. Yes. Yeah. That's crazy. I had no idea that was. I didn't know that. I've.
Jesse, can you please share your screen for everybody so I stop seeing Indiana Jones' hat?
Oh, yeah. I've got it. Yeah. Give me just a second.
What's wrong with Indiana Jones' hat?
Present to everyone. There
we go.
There it is. Thank you for. All right. So there it is.
It's giving me a seizure.
All right. So, yeah, Kanzi. So let me try this again. Naira, who is Kanzi's mom. This is how twisted that is. Naira goes and finds her clone. And I think essentially they're like mindless bodies that are just kind of kept in stasis.
Yeah, like I said, it's just a garden of bodies.
Yeah,
with no minds.
And she somehow injects like whatever her genetic code or something into this body, and it gives it a mind and a personality. Now, it's not an exact clone of the adult Naira. No, it's like I would assume an adolescent.
Not an adolescent.
Young teenager? Woman. Young woman? Okay.
Young woman.
And
make it creepier than it is.
I don't know. I don't know if like she cultivated him.
No, it's the ultimate Jewish mom thing. She creates a clone, a younger version of herself for her son to marry. We didn't know this at the time, but Kryptonians are actually all Jewish.
They're Jewish. Amazing.
20,000 downvotes on my YouTube page. Bring it on.
Racist.
Thank you.
The chosen people.
That's right.
So yeah, she gives this clone a personality and a mind of their own. Kanzi falls in love with her, and they're to be married. It's his fiance, and then he finds out, like, I love at the beginning of this book where you kind of see Kanzi, because I was going through it a second time, where he's just freaking out over no reason after this robot shows up. And he's like, yes, sir, we can confirm. And he just takes off running going, no. And you're like, what the hell is that dude's problem? Well, yeah, I think we understand why. Colton, what are you doing?
Daddy! Daddy, the Wi-Fi is broken again. Daddy!
Son.
Daddy, I've forgotten how to internet.
Daddy, I have 10,000 downvotes on YouTube, Daddy.
Your phone? It should be upstairs. Go ask your brother to find it. I don't know where it's at. Tell him to go find it.
Not on the charger or anywhere.
Or anywhere.
Oh, he told you.
Well, son, I don't know where it's at. Go get Caleb's phone and use it, okay? Go. Caleb's his phone is not almost dead. It's got 60%. I remember. Go get it. Go get it. And I'll be up there shortly. I don't want you to get in trouble. Go.
Go get it.
Go get it. I don't know where your orange phone's at. Go get your phone. Or go get Caleb's phone and use it, okay? I'll be up there shortly. Okay. Go upstairs and use it. Stop. Get off the steps.
Climb the stairs, Daddy.
I'm telling you what, he's going to fall. Give me a second. I'll be right back.
Uh-oh. What was it you always wanted to happen?
That child's about to get beat. Hey, Ronnie, guess what?
Hey, Mark, what?
Chicken butt.
It's 11.
Wah, wah.
I do miss the soundboard.
Ugh, you have no idea what my life is like without the soundboard.
Seriously, animals don't have souls, and my dog went. Brr, brr,
Who is this fucking asshole? I'm gonna bite him.
All right. Okay. So anyway, yeah, things are crazy there. He finds his mom after murdering his fiance. Finds his mom, shoots her in the head in front of this whole party, and is about to kill himself. And they stop him. So now,
you're flustered.
I am. I just ran up the stairs, came back down. Now this knowledge obviously drove Kanzi to murder his fiance and his mom. But the real issue is that now Krypton is aware of the news that a clone can be considered a person by adding a personality in the mind to him. And this just does nothing but add more fuel to the age-long debate that is now currently resulting in violence. Okay, so that's kind of where issue 1 leaves off. Now, let's get into issue 2. Issue 2, Van-El looks on as the battle has now intensified with an end result of where Kandor is actually destroyed by an anti-clone organization by the name of Black Zero. Vara, Black Zero. Vara, Van-El's love, is becoming a person that believes in what Black Zero is fighting for, while Van-El believes in the old ways. Vara, after a long discussion/argument, leaves him. Years later, Van-El has joined the military and is making a raid on a Black Zero headquarters, to which he finds, standing against him, Vara. When they come face to face, Vara is shaken and runs outside and is caught in an explosion, and Van-El watches the love of his life die. Fast forward some more years, and Van-El alone heads to the clone banks, now a shell of what they were after the Great War. He arrives and is greeted by some survivors. Van-El explains that he needs their help, as Black Zero has now become reborn with the intent to destroy Krypton. So that's issues 1 and 2. A look at Van-El and his escapades across a little bit of time of Krypton, watching this crazy war break out about clones and their rights and you know, the political debate amongst the Kryptonian people, and also his love, Vara. You know, that he was deeply in love with, and then because of politics, they went their separate ways, pretty much. So, all right, I guess Mark, we'll start with you, man. What do you think of these first 2 issues?
You know, it's been a while since I've read.
We've ruined it.
God damn it!
You've ruined my knows.
You see,
you see.
I have wrecked this show.
It's a living.
Anywho, it's been a while since I've read like pure science fiction. That wasn't. I mean, yeah, I understand this is a Superman prequel, but it has so little to do with our modern understanding of Superman that you could be convinced that these first 2 to 3 issues, since it really doesn't mention Jor-El at all, have nothing to do with Superman at all, and we're just an independent science fiction comic book. And that's kind of the mindset that I went into with this. I sort of separated myself from the knowledge that Krypton is Superman's home and just read this story and kind of see where it unfolded. And I liked, again, some of the allusions to modern debates. Again, I look at specifically the abortion debate, subbing in for this debate over clone rights. And this idea of you have these two beliefs that manifest themselves in these huge groups of people that have decided that the only way to settle this conflict is through violence. Well, geez, if that doesn't speak to some of our, to the things going on in the modern world right now, I don't know what does. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed all of that. I enjoyed, again, the science fiction elements melding with the political and the philosophical. It feels a little George Lucas-y, with some of the names and some of the proper nouns of things. I got a little lost at times, and I had to kind of go back and read stuff. But I wasn't at all disinterested in what was going on. I was very much interested in where this was going and and how it related to Krypton's inevitable demise.
It's one hell of a weird way to get to, the clone cause being supported, or by and causing with the whole mother thing, having her own son. It's just so weird. I mean, there's so many other ways to go about bringing that whole discussion or bringing that plot point forward. It was just so weird. That's probably my biggest, I wouldn't say concern, but probably my biggest thing taken out of these first two issues is that weird change in it. It stands to let everybody know, or it's a good idea, I guess, to let everybody know that I think at this point in Kryptonian history, there weren't any murders. That's what made this thing so horrific. This guy shows up and kills his mom in front of everybody.
I don't know. Your mom ever tried to set you up with somebody? I saw where he was coming from.
Just want to go grab a gun and shoot. That's horrible. Ronnie, I mean, what'd you think, man?
Well, my thing is, in the 80s, why did they feel the need to make everybody wear, all the men had no shirts but had these giant WWE belts, and capes and everything, but then they look like they're from medieval times half the time, but they pull out a blaster from nowhere. Mm-hmm. And but that was the 80s. This was very 80s.
It definitely had a Flash Gordon feel to it, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was looking for. But
Flash. He'll save every one of us. Stand for every one of us. Flash.
I think Flash Gordon is Michael K. Easton's, or at least one of Michael K. Easton's favorite movies. So, throwing that out there. I know you have no idea who that is, Mark, but he's a good friend of the podcast and of the Kapow podcast, one of the originators. Go ahead there, Ronnie.
I had a hard time with this. I'm not going to lie.
Was it the words?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, trust me. I understand, man.
Ronnie doesn't like words.
Oh, come on. On the scale of Kevin Smith to, 300, this was squaw in the middle.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, I'll give you that too.
It did seem a little excessive at times. And granted, I mean, this is late 80s storytelling. There's not really a whole lot that we can. It's hard to put myself in the mindset of what it was like back in the 80s and what was being written.
Really?
Well, in the late 80s, I wasn't collecting to read the storyline that was coming out. I was collecting because I liked what the book looked like. I was 10 years old. So, there wasn't much to where I was going, oh man, this is such a great story. I've got to get it. No, it's Spider-Man or it's Superman. That's all I was looking for.
Okay, but you're not 10 now. I'm not. I guess I'm lost as to what was the issue you were having with it.
What I'm saying is that, okay, words, telling a story
are hard,
different. When you look at, if you take this comic book and compare it to 10 years later in 1998, grab yourself an Image book, specifically one from Rob Liefeld, and take a look at how many words are on that page and how much of the story is told through actual like art. What you have here, I think, feels more like, okay, John Byrne had a story to tell, and you
don't need a thought bubble over everything.
Yes, that's what drove me kind of up the wall. That's what drives me up the wall about any 80s comic book. Yeah, John Byrne had a story to tell, and it was clear that he was going to tell that. It was almost like a book, and then somebody took the comic and wrote around it, or drew around it, I guess I should say. So it's some of it felt almost unnecessary. I mean, not every page had to be packed full of text for me to go, oh, okay, I really needed to know that. I needed to know that internal conflict. But
I don't know. Maybe it was the experience with last year's Daredevil that we did, where like, well, as long as it's less than that, I can
okay.
But okay, I had a hard time getting through it, but I like the storyline. I like the concept of it. I enjoyed that. It had a very Game of Thrones feel with killing your own mother in front of everybody and then committing suicide. Shakespeare, Game of Thrones,
yeah,
mixed with Masters of the Universe. But
pretty
apt. And Flash.
Save every one of us.
Stand for every one of us. Flash, I love you, but we've only got a few minutes left.
You know the whole song, don't you?
I really do.
That's wonderful. I'm a big Queen fan, and I've always loved their music, but that song always really confused me.
What was confusing? Wait, stop the podcast. What was confusing about Flash's?
No, not the actual song. I understand the song because there was like 4 words that were repeated over and over.
Yeah,
but it was like, I mean, did they solely do it for the paycheck or?
I hear you.
I digress.
What?
What?
Listen to their other stuff and then listen to that.
Okay, are you saying they didn't put a whole lot of time and effort into it?
No.
Okay. All right. This is not the time nor the place to be debating.
No, it's not. But you know what? We're there. So let's just do it.
Okay. I think you're being a little too hard on the Beaver, quite frankly. That's what she said.
No.
Yeah, I was just waiting for it. That's why I was silent. But never mind. Not the time nor the place. But no, I enjoyed it. For what it, not saying what it was. I don't want to say that, but for what I could get through it and what I gleaned from it, I enjoyed.
Was it any big secret that Vera was the leader of those survivors?
No,
I'm not done with this. Flash, savior of the universe. Flash, he'll save every one of us. Seemingly, there is no reason for these extraordinary intergalactical upsets. Ha 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 ha. What's happening, Flash? Only Dr. Hans Zarkov, formerly at NASA, has provided any explanation. Flash, he's a
now wait a second. Are the shit that you're saying that's coming out of your mouth right now? That is something that Queen said. Is that something Queen sang?
No, that's a bit from the movie.
Okay.
There's this morning's unprecedented solar eclipse is no cause for alarm. Flash, king of the impossible. He's for every one of us. Stand for every one of us.
I know we have this shtick going on, but I'm asking you now as a friend.
Yes,
stop.
Sir. All right.
You're not winning an argument here.
I am just supplying grist for the gag reel.
There. It's there.
It's there.
All right.
I think that's half the time. That's why we do this show. Just to get a good gag reel out of it.
Oh yes, absolutely. So okay, Yeah, Vera was not a big surprise to me because they kind of left that like, oh, he doesn't know who she is. Well, you know, you could tell because she's like the only person with blue hair in this whole freaking book. And then when he finds that bunch of survivors there, I'm like, well, that's even though it looked like she died, she's not dead, and he has no clue. But all right. So let's go ahead. We'll get into issues 3 and 4. We'll get this thing finished out. So issue 3. As we get to issue 3, the story is now being told far into the future by a young history enthusiast, Jor-El. Jor-El is also about to embark on a life-changing event, as his parents have decided that he should be paired with a lady by the name of Laura. And today is the first day they get. I don't know if they get to meet or
they're not supposed to meet.
Yeah,
that's
they don't
the whole
meet.
thing. And this iteration of Kryptonian society, what happened was they've settled on a set number of Kryptonians. One died. I don't know, like he spilled hot coffee on his dick and ran into traffic and got ran over by a car.
Well, that's just a terrible way to go.
not a good way to die.
Anywho, so we're down one Kryptonian. They're elected to mix their egg and sperm and create a new Kryptonian to replace the one that died. They're not actually supposed to meet. That was never, like that's not part of their society. So Jor-El, who's apparently a rebel, actually asked to see what she looks like, like the big horn dog that he is. And that actually like goes dead against protocol and society and all of that. But he ends up seeing her anyway, and they fall like naturally in love. But it's very much at odds with how Kryptonian society is operating at that time.
Yeah, they had said that. I mean, there would be years if the only thing that would bring people together in the presence of each other was if there was a great disaster or something like that, or something that had to be something of great importance. So you could live your life in solitude for a very, very long time as a resident of Krypton. And not only that, I mean, it's almost like you're immortal because they've now figured out ways to I'll probably repeat this here as I go through the summary, but they figured out ways to get away from the clone usage, and they've used suits. But anyway, we'll talk about that here in a second. Ronnie, were you about to say something?
I just want to go back to the cause of death. That was way too specific.
Coffee on the dick.
Did you know someone? I mean, do we need to talk?
No, I just riffed.
Take off of running.
Your riffs are terrible.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
My riffs are awesome.
All right. So, okay.
It's true.
So as his parents have decided that he should be paired with a lady by the name of Laura. Gazing back into history, Jor-El watches Van-El and the leader of the survivors make their move on Black Zero. The group has secured Black Zero has secured a great egg-shaped weapon. And when Black Zero's leader shows his face, it is revealed that it is an aged Kan-Z. So Kan-Z, remember, he's the guy that killed his mom and his fiance. After saying the weapon is there to bring about the end of time itself, Kan-Z activates the weapon, destroying most around him. Van-El is still alive, and barely. He finds the leader of the survivors, and with her last breath, he realizes that she was his lost love, Vara. We end the book in the future with Jor-El, who is told of the expected union of his genetic material, sperm, egg, whatever, his genetic material with Laura's, and Jor-El is quite all right with that. So that's the end of issue 3. Now we fast forward to the present day in issue 4, where Superman, our beloved hero of the DC universe, meets up with Lois Lane to give her an exclusive for the Daily Planet. The exclusive is Superman's story about his family from Krypton. It is here we learn that Van-El was Superman's grandfather 1,000 generations removed. After the events with Black Zero, Van-El went forward to rebuild Krypton. Kryptonians went on to make scientific advancements to prolong their life by wearing biosuits, abandoning the savagery of using clones as spare parts. Kryptonians nearly eliminated death, and gestation chambers were created to make infants from the genetics of two people who usually never even met. Jor-El soon takes an interest in his son and a fascination with Laura, but never I don't think he actually meets her. He just kind of creeps on her, doesn't he? Like I got the feeling like they didn't meet until like the very end panel. Are you guys? You got the same? What do you think, Mark?
I know. Well, I think the thing that I remembered because they made such a big deal about it was asking to see her. But no, he might not have seen her until like the very end of right before Krypton Blue.
That's kind of the impression I got as well. But he would like creep on her. It's like they didn't meet, but he would like go watch her working at the library that she worked at.
Yeah, he was in the bushes, dick out, hand on it.
I don't know about all that. At least that wasn't in the comic. Not the comic I read. Might be in the trade.
Might be in the trade.
Yeah, gotta reprint. Oh yes, we found some lost material here. Yeah.
Put it back.
Jor-El in the bushes.
So anyway, Jor-El soon takes an interest in his son and a fascination with Laura, but never personally meeting her. Then a great calamity strikes Krypton. Jor-El is informed after a great earthquake, and he's informed after. Let's try this again. He was informed of a great earthquake, and in the span, like because he was informed, he fucking felt it. But the robots came in. You know, he's like, what happened? So the robots tell him that within a span of half a solar cycle, which I assume is a day. That's my guess. And the span of a half a solar cycle.
Why can't they just say day?
Yeah, I know. 20 million Kryptonians died. Okay, now this is a society that hasn't experienced a whole lot of death. And when it happens, you know, it's very rare. Well, 20 million
They do
died.
something. They do it right.
It done happens. It done got done here. 20 million Kryptonians died. So Jor-El embarks upon a mission of research, and he then returns to the moment that he left off viewing the escapades of Van-El versus Black Zero. So he looks at what happened during that moment that Black Zero detonated that bomb in the past. He finds that because of this detonation of this weapon, Krypton has been handed a death sentence and will now is on the verge of being destroyed and exploding. Securing his infant son from the gestation chambers, he heads back to home. Laura arrives, concerned about his actions, and he explains that in the next hour, Krypton will be no more, and his intent is to save his son by sending him to Earth. Launching the ship, Jor-El is content now, since he is with his wife Laura and is able to die with her. And off goes Superman out into, or Kal-El, out into space, and that's where we ended. Of course, there's a few they kind of go back to the present where Superman's actually crying after telling the story. I mean, it's a little bit obviously clearly emotional as to what happened. But yeah, there you go. That's issues 3 and 4 and how we finished it out. So Ronnie, we'll start with you. I mean, what do you think? What did you think of the story, man?
It was good. I mean, everybody needs to hear a little backstory of their favorite superhero and you know, well, everybody's favorite superhero. I don't care what anybody says. So I enjoyed this. This was a different, and this was, I mean, like, I won't lie about, it was about, you know, number 3, I started to peter out a little bit on being able to read it.
Oh, it gets cumbersome.
Yeah, but I enjoyed what I read. I really did.
Did you recognize, I don't know if you remember or not, but when we did The Death of Superman or The Return of Superman, did you recognize that those robots that Van-El was running around was the same type of robot that Superman was in?
Yeah.
Where he was like gestating in there, and then he kind of drops through the crotch. That happens in the Superman. If I remember right, it happens in the Return of Superman as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Okay, Mark Radulich, what do you think?
I didn't like this one as much as Volume 1.
Okay.
I thought the Jor-El character was really, really interesting. I thought his struggle, as I was saying before, when you had me do the synopsis of the first volume, I was much more into his personal story and his connection, his struggles, you know, with a Krypton that was, you know, that was limping towards blowing up. This one, I wasn't as connected to oh gosh, who was the leader of the relative of Jor-El? God, what
Van El?
was it Van El? The one that kills his mother is like Kaz-El or something like that. Kanzi. Okay, yeah. So Van El. I think it just wasn't as connected to Van El.
Okay.
So I thought, as a history lesson, and it relating to Jor-El and how Jor-El was thinking about the world, I thought it was fine. I definitely thought it was an interesting bit of Kryptonian history. Could have been dealt with in one issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is kind of what I feel like with the upcoming Krypton series. Like, there are characters, and we see 3 characters that we kind of pretty much know about. That's Superman. We see Jor-El. We see Laura. All these other characters, Van El, Kanzi, Vara, I've never heard of before. And as to whether I doubt they've ever been, well, I don't know. I would assume that they've never been spoken of prior to this series. That is kind of what we're going to get, I would assume, with the Krypton television series. We're going to see a lot of stuff we've never even heard about.
The Krypton series is about Sag-El, which is Jor-El's father.
Okay. All right. So again, you ever heard of that name until the
I'll be honest with you, I wasn't the hugest fan of Superman, so a lot of the stuff I've only learned really since being a part of this podcast and delving into things a little bit more. Yeah. But I mean, honestly, like I said, I wasn't a huge fan of the Superman comic to begin with, so it's all new to me.
Yeah. Well, the point is that John Byrne had these characters, told this story, and the idea was to try and get you to care about these characters. That's going to be what the Krypton series has got to try and do. They're going to try and bring a bunch of somewhat unknown characters and make you care about them.
Well, the big villain in this is supposed to be Brainiac. So, I mean,
ooh, well, that's a name that's recognizable. That's for sure.
Who?
Yeah. Whatever. Okay. So,
hey, you mutt, knock that off.
All right. We're closing in on the 2-hour mark here. So, yeah, I think
we're making up for Tomb Raider from last week.
Oh yes, my goodness. The my thoughts on the series. I've given it some criticism in regards to the writing. Okay, fine, that whatever. It's John Byrne. I still think he told a pretty decent story here. I did. It was all connected to Superman. They made that obvious at the end, who Van El was, how he was tied to Superman, and how the politics and how this all got resolved before the planet got done blowed up. So
the planet exploded.
It exploded. So I like the story itself. It was just kind of tough to get through. I mean, seriously, dude, I sat down here and it took me about maybe 45 minutes to an hour to read it. But I can't gripe about that. It's like I said, it's late 80s comics. It's John Byrne. He's told a somewhat decent story. Mike Mignola art early. I mean, I assume this is early Mike Mignola art. So I dug it. And I'm curious, maybe some of these characters will be mentioned in I don't think it goes back that far though. The hell, you never know. All right, let's get out of here. I don't have really much anything else to say. I'm glad we had the opportunity to talk about it. You know what was funny? We're going to talk about this on the Tomb Raider podcast. I guarantee it. But we read this book, and my opinion of it right now is what I just gave. But when we watch the Krypton series, my opinion of this book might actually change because this may be a good primer for what we're going to get in the Krypton series itself. You never know. But it's funny because we did the Tomb Raider book, and we were just like, well, okay, there's not much great to say here. I go and watch the movie, and I'm like, oh man, I know this, I know that, I know this, and I know that, and it wasn't intended to be because the book we read was supposed to be after that, but it was a good primer. I went into that movie knowing more about the characters and at least some of the settings and stuff like that. So anyway, again, I'm glad I had the opportunity to sit down here with you boys and talk about it. So let's get out of here. Let's start with you, Ronnie Adams. Let's talk about plugs. What do you got coming up here on the Screaming Boy podcast, sir?
In 2 weeks, we're going to be recording an episode about the sad event of the closing of Toys R Us. So, on our show, the Screaming Boy podcast, we will be addressing part of our childhood dying, and it's so much more depressing than I meant it to be. But
I want to ask a real quick question. Either of you guys gone to a Toys R Us here recently?
Not recently. I have, but
yeah, I go pretty frequently. It's actually one of the reasons why I wanted to do this discussion.
Are they marketing stuff down at all?
Okay, I haven't been to one since they announced that they were closing.
Okay, I just went to mine up here, and there's nothing marked down.
And you know that I'm a big collector of
Pops.
Funko. Yeah, Pops. Well, they Funko just released a flocked, meaning furry, I guess. Jeffrey the Giraffe, gone in 3 minutes.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, 3 freaking minutes.
Yeah, it's not surprising.
Online. Yeah, so they're supposed to re-release it from Toys R Us on the 25th, I think, which will probably last about half as long.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where this is how big this is. It's history.
Mm-hmm.
So
I took a selfie with the Toys R Us sign behind my back.
Yeah.
That's, because it's historic. We'll save that for the podcast. Go ahead.
I just went to, as I've been announcing frequently on plugs, I went to the North Carolina Comic Con in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is they named the Oak City Comic Con. And I tell you what, I had a lot of fun. It was a lot better of an experience than I had the last time that I went to a North Carolina Comic Con. It was there was a lot of things that led to me having a really good weekend when I was there. I got to meet Kevin Eastman of Eastman and Laird, co-creator of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The man could not have been nicer. That was just such a good experience. I waited in line about 2 hours to get his signature. They were doing 2 signatures if you bought a VIP ticket, which I had a VIP, and 1 free signature if you just bought a weekend pass or just bought a pass. So he was signing free, 1 free or 2 free. But he did charge for other signatures and, books he had out and artwork he was doing. And which I get because that's, he makes his money on that. But for him to, they gave me a con exclusive comic book that he did the art for, so I had him sign that, and then I bought I brought with another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue of Raphael and Casey Jones. Their adventure out and about. It was like a 1 issue mini, like mini arc, and so I took that, and one of the guys that was with him, one of his assistants, looked at it and went, "Oh, that's a good one." So he signed both of them, drew a turtle, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle face on it.
Nice.
It was really cool. I mean, it was such a cool experience. Made standing in line all that time so worth it. Yeah. So worth it just to, shake his hand, have him thank me. "Oh, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for waiting." And I'm like, "No, thank you for putting up with a bunch of wild-eyed nerds."
Yeah.
And badge of honor, not nerd shaming or anything like that. I got to meet Walter Simonson,
Very cool.
Writer and artist of Thor when I was reading it. Got him to sign Thor number 337 through 340 for me, and he did a custom sketch on one of the backboards just off the wall of Ragnarok. And so Thor issue number 337 is the first appearance of Beta Ray Bill, which is a character he created. So it was really cool to get to talk to him a little bit, and it was just like we were, his friends. he was talking to everybody in line. He was just, laughing with us, cutting up. His wife was there, Louise, yeah,
Louise Simonson, yeah.
yeah, who he has worked with. She's written, he's drawn, she's done her own work. They actually asked her, "Hey, how was it working with Rob Liefeld?" And I've never heard anybody laugh as loud and quick as Walter did when somebody asked her that. And he was like, "Ha ha!" And I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a good story." She goes, "You know what? There were some really good moments of working with him. He's he's talented." And that was it.
Oh, nice.
I was like, that is really classy.
Mm-hmm.
That is really classy. So they were wonderful people as well. I did some shopping. I did a little too much shopping, I think, at the booth. There was some good cosplay. There was a great podcast panel. I got to be a part of the Nerd Slam, which is nerd trivia. I got to be a part of Fanboy Face Off, which is a debate between your character and their character. They said he basically the gentleman that hosts that said, "Hey, I want to do one DC character versus one Marvel character." And one kid said, he's a younger kid, and he said, "Well, I'll do Dr. Manhattan." And I was like, "Oh, you're trying to cheat, are you?" And so I'm sitting there with this look on my face, and he knows me from several other cons that we've both, he writes a book called From Faith to Fandom, he's a con. He goes to a lot of Comic Cons. Great guy. And he said, "All right, Ronnie, what are you chewing on over there? What are you thinking?" I said, "Well, it's kind of cheating." He said, "No, just do it, man. Just say it." And I said, "Well, Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet." And I destroyed the child. And it was a lot of fun. Trying to, for this kid, trying to defend Dr. Manhattan versus, the Mad Titan Thanos with, basically two god level characters going at each other. One of them was just crazier than the other.
Nice.
So it was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it because the next one I'm going to actually is called Twin City Comic Con in Winston-Salem, and it's going to be a 1-day con. And there's going to be it's going to be I think a smaller one because it's only like $5 to get in, things like that. So that one's going to be a little more intimate, more book related than anything, I think. And that's going to be a lot of fun. Then I'm going to head on out to Raleigh SuperCon, which is the huge one with a lot of different stars. Dave Bautista, Sean Gunn, Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. Mick Foley, DDP, Sergeant Slaughter, not Ric Flair. He's not going to be there.
That'd been great.
He was there last year, is why I was thinking that. But Trish Stratus is going to be there, along with Amy Jo Johnson, Lou Ferrigno. A lot of big names are going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun to go, and a lot of great stuff. I did not get my Ghostbusters cosplay ready in time, so I did not get to wear it this time around. But definitely for Raleigh SuperCon, because it is now almost done, and I'm working on a ghost trap to carry with me. Ray's ghost trap. So this is there's a lot of, you can find us on any kind of social media. On Facebook, it is at Scream, or just look up Scream Boy Podcast. On Twitter, it's at Scream Boy PR. And on Instagram, which is all of our pictures, all the pictures that I took and everything are going to be on Instagram. It's just Scream Boy Podcast. So it was a fantastic time, a really good weekend. It was just, it was really cool to be a part of it. If you're interested, go look at the pictures. We're going to be talking a little bit about it. I may do a quick con show before the Toys R Us one. But other than that, we'll definitely be talking about it on the shows. It's going to be, in Raleigh SuperCon is going to be amazing. So I think I've, stuttered and talked enough. So I will turn it over to you, Jesse.
All right. Well then, Mark Radulich, tell us about the schedule. What we got coming up here on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network.
Why do you sound like you're holding your nose?
Oh, sorry. I actually have my hand over my mouth. Sorry. Let's try it
You sound
again.
like an old time radio.
What's happening?
Mark Radulich, come on in, buddy. Let's talk about your schedule.
Okay,
Right.
Ed.
Right down here in the 1940s. Okay, go ahead.
Christ. All right. So, what dropped today on the Rattleton Broadcasting Network is our source material Tomb Raider Volume 1 Season of the Witch discussion. So go ahead and check that out. Also, check out our Metal Hammer of Doom extras for Judas Priest Spectre, Judas Priest Lightning Strike, and then our most popular video reaction.
Oh, boy.
Popular.
Yes, people really reacted to this one. It's Baby Metal performing with Judas Priest. They did a hell of a job. It was fantastic.
Mark, are you a Baby Metal fan?
I am, very much so. I've done 2 shows, 1 show a piece for their albums, and it's still one of my saved playlists on Spotify.
Jesse, are you a Baby Metal fan?
I do enjoy the Baby Metal. It's they got a great sound, and I've had the opportunity to talk about their last album, and I think I at least know for a fact that I listened to the podcast about the first one. So I've enjoyed me some Baby Metal.
Suck it, YouTube commenters.
They're fine. They're fine. They are
not.
They are entitled to believe whatever they want to believe.
No, they're not.
And as Jesse says, a listen's a listen. So there
you go. We got 220 some of them, 300 some of them if you want to combine them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The trash heap has spoken. Yeah. Tomorrow night, if you enjoy listening specifically to Jesse, Ronnie, and me talk about whatever, then you're going to get another dose of that tomorrow on Damn You Hollywood. Robert Winfrey is in Hollywood if she could, so he won't be able to join us. So I've got Jesse and Ronnie to talk about the new Tomb Raider. On Wednesday, as I was saying before you turn into Krypton, check out the Metal Hammer of Doom. We love everybody on the Metal Hammer of Doom.
We think you're okay.
It's all peace, love, and pussy grease. That's what we're all about there on the Metal Hammer of Doom.
The crap, man. That could not have gone worse in anybody's mind.
I remember that time Mark Radulich was thinking about going to the Movie Pass Facebook site, and then they said he had to be, what was it? Was it G-rated or PG? G-rated.
G-rated language and no spoilers.
Oh, shit. That's like the opposite of your show, but go ahead.
It's the opposite of his life.
So we're going to review the new Judas Priest album, Firepower. And then on Thursday, it's our last on trial for the month of March. We're going to look at Lara Croft Tomb Raider 2, The Cradle of Life. So that'll be fun. Next week, right here in our shoe.
Right here on the show. Right here on the Rattleton Broadcasting Network.
On the 26th of March, the show.
Now you just sell it old timey and country.
This show will be up in its edited format on the Metal Hammer, on the Rattleton Broadcasting Network. So
the Metal Hammer of Doom Network.
You can see where Eddie, where Jesse rather frustratingly took out the parts that just annoyed the piss out of him and either left them on the cutting room floor or put them in the gag reel. So that'll be fun.
We'll always have the raw file. I think it'll always be there on the source material.
That's right. On Damn You Hollywood, it'll be the turn of Robert Winfrey, and we'll be reviewing Pacific Rim Uprising.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's coming out. That's another thing to use a Movie Pass on.
Metal Hammer of Doom, we'll be reviewing another one of Jesse's favorite bands, for real, though, not for play. This is The Sword, Used Future, which I believe got a pretty good review on some of the metal blogs.
Good.
And then the aforementioned Screaming Boy. Now, is that going to be like a live show?
Yeah, we're going to go live on YouTube through, we're going to be kind of like this, live on YouTube, and then we'll just pull it off of there and put it up on iTunes and the Rattleton Broadcasting Network.
Okay.
Don't know why I said it like that.
Okay. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, go give the Radulich in Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts that we have to offer. There is usually a link to something going up just about every day. I know for sure at least 2 or 3 links every week to find our podcasts either on YouTube or Spreaker. We're on iTunes. Just search Radulich, Radulich. Rate, subscribe, do whatever you want to do there. Comment.
Leave a comment. We love
Go
them.
for it. Yeah, sure.
Please express yourself.
Express yourself.
Boop,
So-
boop, boop, flash.
Oh, I can't hit them high notes. So,
You just woke up everyone in your house.
No, these people can sleep through a fucking bomb.
we've got some great Metal Hammer of Doom extras online, and I mean it's on the source material Facebook, or excuse me, source material YouTube page. Yeah.
So sorry, I didn't mean to make
low fart sound. Please ignore that. No, listen, you can check that out. There's a lot of great stuff on there. I'm ready to get out of here. Ronnie Adams, you ready to leave?
Jesse, what are we recording this Sunday? What kind of Metal Hammer of Doom extras you got lined up for me?
Man, I don't know. What are we talking here? We're going
to be talking the sword.
The sword. I know of
the sword.
Well, I think we should. I don't know if there's anything off the new album. I haven't heard nothing off the new album, but I think we should clearly cover the most popular one from Guitar Hero Gone By, which is the one that got me into the sword, and that's shit.
All right.
Freya. No, it's Freya. I knew the name. It took me a while to get there. It's Freya, and then we need to find. I know there was a couple off of. I think it was the previous album, or maybe it was the album before that. Dream Thieves is a good one. I got some good ones. I could try to figure out some sword stuff. Do you have it? Have you listened to these guys very much?
Here's a couple. I just typed in the sword official video on YouTube, and it came back. Fuck you, Radulich. No.
You racist motherfucker.
It came back 10,000 downvotes. All right, so there's Lawless Lands. That's got an official video. How Heavy This Axe. That's got an official video.
If you want to talk about there's 3 videos that tell a story off of the album, like 2 albums ago. I can't remember what it's called, but they actually tell a complete story. These 3 videos. It's pretty neat. But go ahead.
Cloak of Feathers.
Yeah, that's like the second part of that story. Go ahead.
Fire Lances of Ancient
Hippolyta.
Hyperzephyrians.
Don't know that one.
Trey Brujas.
That's like the first part of that story.
Winter Wolves. Night City. Maiden, Mother, and Crone.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm pretty sure of that one. The Dream Thieves.
That's a good one. I mean, there's not really much going on in that other than it's just a bunch of
Freya.
Pictures. Yep, Freya's the Guitar Hero 3. Okay.
So I wonder if there's one for cheap sunglasses.
Ooh, there might be.
That's official lyric video. Boo.
Okay.
All right. So there's plenty of sword stuff for us to cover. We'll do like we did with Judas Priest and piss the fuck out of people.
Does it? Does it have anything from the new album? Like, what's the most recent one?
Let's see. Go to Sword Vivo.
Doesn't sound like
Deadly Nightshade.
Now that's a Megadeth song.
The Sword, Deadly Nightshade from the album Used Future, available March 23rd. So there.
Ooh, okay. All right. Oh boy. All right. Well, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's Ronnie Adams.
Yep.
That's Mark Radulich. My name is Jesse Starcher. Have a good one. Flash. Ah!